So now we will be doing this activity, packet tracer activity, which is to configure DTP. So it's the same topology as we configured on the last video. So we have the addressing table for PC1 and PC6, and also for the S1, S1, S3. So for the objectives of this activity is configure static trunking, configure and verify DTP. So as the background scenario, it's not that important. So as the number of switches and network increases, the administration necessary to manage the VLANs and trunks can be challenging. So is VLAN trunking configuration, trunk negotiation between network devices is managed by the DTP, and is automatically enabled by Catalyst 2960 and 3650 switches. So in this activity, you will be configure trunk links between the switches. You will assign ports to VLANs and verify end-to-end connectivity between hosts in the same VLAN. So you will also configure trunk links between the switches, and you will configure VLAN 99 as the native VLAN. So here for the instructions for the part 1, we have the verify VLAN configuration. So verify the configured VLANs on the switches. So the part A, so we have the on S1, go to the privilege accept mode and enter the show VLAN brief command to verify the VLANs that are present. For the S1, privilege accept mode, show VLAN brief. So you can see here, the VLANs here is the VLAN 1, the default VLAN, the VLAN 99, which is the management, and VLAN 999, which is the native. Okay, step 1 and step 2. Show VLAN brief. So I think this is also the same with the S1. And for the S3, it's also the same. So create additional VLANs on S2 and S3. So on S2, create VLAN 10 in red. So we have here the guide. So config T, VLAN 10, name it's red. Name red. Create VLAN 20 and 30 according to the table. Okay. So VLAN 20, name blue. Then VLAN 30, we have the name yellow. Okay. We also need to configure the S3. So config T, VLAN 10 is name red, VLAN 20 is name blue, and then VLAN 30 is named yellow. Okay. Let's see here. So VLAN brief. Verify the addition of new VLANs. Okay. Show VLAN brief. As you can see, we have here the VLAN 10, 20 and 30, named red, blue, and yellow. Okay, assigns VLANs ports. So use this switch port mode access command to set access mode for the access names. Access VLAN. So for the switch 2, I will start with the switch 2 here. 150. Okay. So interface F0/1. Ports 8. Ports. What did you mean 16 ports? /8. Or 1 to 8, and then okay. 0/1 to 8. Okay. So interface range 0/1 to 8. Okay. Then switch port mode access. Then switch port, we need to assign this to VLAN. Then says VLAN 10. Okay. Then interface range 9 to 16. Port mode access VLAN 20. The interface 17 to 24. Mode access and VLAN 3. Okay. It's the same as with the S3. So config T, interface range F0/1 to 8. So switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 10. And then for the 9 to 16 mode access 20. Then 17 to 24 access 30. Okay. So assign VLANs to port is to okay. This is the guide, but we don't need the guide. So we already have the 34% of the completion, but we're on the halfway too. Okay. So assign VLANs to port S3 using the assignments from the table. Okay. Now that you have ports assigned to being from 1 to PC, so we've been PC. This is IP address. Oh, we're not successful. So let's see the network for let's see. So we just need to continue this. So part 4 is configure trunks on S1 to S3, and then DTP manages the trunk links between Cisco switches. Currently all the switch ports are in default trunking mode, so this switch is dynamic out. So in this step you will change trunking mode to dynamic desirable for the link between switch 1 and S2. So the link between switch 1 and S3 will be set as static trunk. So use VLAN 99 as the native VLAN is to call. So on switch 1, configure the trunk link to dynamic desirable on the gigabit. Switch port. Oh. I'm not configuring. I thought I configured the trunk earlier. So interface. Dynamic desirable. And dynamic auto. I think it'd be trunk. So S1, so we'll be configuring it. So interface G0/1. Switch port. Mode dynamic desirable. %. Interface gigabit should be at on switch 2. Show interface as trunk. So should appear in the output. What is the mode and status for this port? Mode is auto and trunking is static. So for the trunk link between S1 and S3, configure interfaces 0 as a static trunk link. Okay, so I should disable DTP negotiation on interfaces. Okay, for disabling DTP negotiation, so the mode must be on the trunk or access. Okay. Dynamic desirable, dynamic auto. So I am quite confused for the non-negotiation. So we're in this switch S3. So I just need to exit this first. Interface E0/2. Switch port. Mode trunk. Then switch port. No negotiate. Show DTP. By the status of. Now we have the 54%, but I think it's enough. So in this, show DTP. Global DTP impression, DTP hello, packets every 30 seconds, dynamic trunk. Okay. So verified trunking is enabled on all switches using show interfaces trunk command. I think that this must be the output. Show interfaces trunk. Bow. We don't have the number 2. Wait. Why is it? Okay, let's continue. Okay. just continue. So configure VLAN 99 as the native VLAN for the trunk links on SP. So let's see if we can improve our answer. So config T. So we need to access the interface range. /1 to 2. Switch port. Trunk native VLAN 9. So what messages? I don't. How would you correct it? Oh, I think we have here the wrong answers here. Just need to correct our assessments. Don't set the native VLAN for S2 and S3. Okay. The native VLAN for S2 and S3. So we already have the 54%. So this port trunk native VLAN 99. Okay. We also need to, it's our first round there. Then switch port, because it's not included in the instructions, so that we mistakenly forgot that. Switch port trunk. So the switches must have the same configuration. That's it. The 67, so it's a 7 point. So next, so let's see under S1 show interface. Show interfaces or show interfaces trunk. Still don't have the ports there. Results. for the gigabit one, so you have the native VLAN. Saan config? Okay. Where are we? Okay. So native VLAN. Okay. Specify here the native VLAN. Verify trunking is should be able to ping one switch from another switch in the PC 1 to PC 2. Look at the show volume from all the cases. VLAN 1, G1 2. Let's see. Configure trunk on S3, issue the show interfaces. Trunk command on S3. Configure GO2 to match GO2. This one. Should no negotiate here. Interface G0/2. Check results. What is the mode for S3? But I already okay. And then switch port mode trunk. See if our score will be added. Dynamic mode. Why is it? Okay. So all the problems should be on the switch 1. Okay. Did not set the port mode and now negotiate native VLAN on the switch 1. Okay, so it must be in this part interface DTP/2. Interface mode trunk. Switch port. Okay. Then switch port. No negotiate. Okay. Then, so interfaces trunk. Okay, that's what I like. Where did I configure that? Oh, I only configured it on the S3. That's why. Next is we need to, let's find the S1. So the trunk link here, config interface 3.0/1 to 2. Switch port. Switch port. Trunk native VLAN. Okay. That's it. Already completed it. So dynamic mode is the mode trunk. So we did not configure it only in this interface. Okay, so let's review what we did. Okay. So the first one is just verify the VLAN configuration. So we created the VLANs for S2 and S3. So when we create the VLANs for S2 and S3, we should also create for the S1. Okay, that is my fault. Now is we need to assign the VLANs for these ports. So that's the next step. So we first need to create the VLANs for all the switches. So even if it's stated here that it's only for S2 and S3, we should also create the VLANs for S1. So for them to also enable to transmit the VLANs from the frames of the VLANs from S2 and S3. Next is, so after creating the VLANs for all of these switches, we just need to assign the VLANs to ports. So we did this. So we don't assign the ports to this switch one because these two switches are containing hosts. Okay, we configured it. So next is after we assign the ports, we need to configure the trunks. So what we did is we set the mode for S1, mode dynamic desirable. So initially we configured the S1 as the dynamic desirable. Okay, just for the G0/1. Okay. Then for the interface, for the second interface, is the trunk mode. Okay. And then we stated the non-negotiable. Okay. For S2, dynamic. Okay. This is dynamic desirable even if this is access. So it also negotiate as trunk link. So we don't need to explicitly configure this as for example mode trunk. So even if it's access, like I said, it will be negotiated as trunk. So we also need to configure the native VLAN for all the switches. Okay. Or just this one for S1. Let's see, S2. Okay, we also need to configure the VLAN 999 as the native VLAN on both of these switches. Okay, so what are the steps? So first one, we need to create the native the VLANs. So VLAN S2 and S3. So created the VLAN 1020, VLAN 20, 1020, and 30. So after we created the VLANs here, we also need to create VLAN for S1. And then the next step is we need to assign these PCs to their own VLANs. And then after we create the VLANs, the assigning of PCs to a VLAN, we need to configure the port of S1 as a trunk links. So in this switch one, we also need to configure the VLAN. So the VLAN we created, we also need to create a VLAN for this. And then we also need to set the trunks, the mode dynamic desirable. And the final step is we also need to configure the VLAN, the native VLAN. So let's check our final results. For the S3, we also VLAN name, so we access the ports. So in switch 2 and switch 3, okay, since the gigabit Ethernet 0/1 is mode in dynamic desirable, so we don't explicitly configure this. So even if it's access, so it will be a trunk link. So for the VLANs 0/2, so we set the dynamic mode to trunk and also do not negotiate. So we need to explicitly also configure these trunk ports as a trunk link. Okay, and that's it.